All right, and we're recording. So welcome, folks. Thanks for joining us today. We have Sakit, Anant, and others from the Service Fabric team who will be presenting today for Service Fabric Q&A number 53. This call is being recorded and it will be shared out afterwards, both to the Azure Connection Programs community and to the YouTube channel. We'll be monitoring the chat for any questions throughout the session. And with that, Sakit, Anant, and Peter, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Sakithars from Service Fabric team in India, and today I'll be presenting on Service Fabric Backup Explorer and stateless only node types on Service Fabric. Yeah. So let me just share my screen. Let me know when you guys can see it.
Looks good.
Looks good.
Okay. Yeah. So Service Fabric Backup Explorer is a tool, is an open source tool that can be used to explore and modify reliable collections backups of stateful services easily. So first of all, why do we need this tool? So in scenarios where we have, let's suppose we have a stateful service of whom we have taken a backup from backup restore service, and now we figure out that there might be some issues with it. So in that scenarios, we might want to take a look at the backup to just figure out what was the issue, what was the code bug that has crept in, or maybe we just want to remove some unnecessary entries from the backup before restoring it. Or in cases of disaster scenarios where we have seen that the whole cluster is down, in that case we just might want to look at the backup before restoring it so that we see that every dictionary is fine and all the things are fine before we want to restore it into an actual live cluster. So in that scenario, this particular tool can help us. So it helps us to explore the reliable collections backup that we have taken via backup restore service offline. That means on our laptops. So we can just bring in our own backups that we have taken from the surface, and it lets us perform all the CRUD operations over the dictionaries that are present in the backup. So we can just view the dictionaries in case we find any discrepancy. We can just edit it, delete some key value pairs, and after that, all those operations that we have done, it provides an API to then again take a full or incremental backup of the edited state of the reliable collections, so that the new edited backup can then be restored into an actual live cluster. It's completely open source, so you folks can also contribute to any fixes and development of this product. Right now, this particular Service Fabric Backup Explorer only supports reliable dictionaries. Reliable queues and concurrent queues are not supported as of now. Yeah. So let me just go over the internals of Backup Explorer a little bit. So this particular Backup Explorer uses a component of Service Fabric called Reliability Simulator, which takes in the backup and simulates the dictionary events, the transactions that happens over the dictionaries. And it fires those dictionary change events. These dictionary change events are then captured by the reliable collections dictionary parser. This parser catches those events and then rebuilds the reliable state of the service. So it completely rebuilds the state. And once the state is rebuilt, we provide the APIs as present in the reliable stateful service to basically get or add a particular dictionary element and do all the operations that we can do over any reliable stateful service. This particular parser is also available as a NuGet package, so we can write our own applications using this Service Fabric Backup Explorer. So for more technical customers who want to play around with it, they can consume this particular parser as a NuGet and then write their own applications, which takes in the backup and does a lot more operations on it. On top of this parser, we have an HTTP server that takes in a config file, which contains the location of backup, all the required DLLs and everything that is needed in order to understand the backup, and then exposes HTTP endpoints from which we can do all the operations that is supported on the dictionary. So adding an elements to the reliable dictionaries, updating it, deleting some key value pairs, all these are supported on the HTTP endpoints. So this provides a very easy way for users to interact with the dictionaries present in the backup. And on top of that HTTP server, we have a backup control CLI tool that helps us to basically automate all these processes that we wanted to do over the server. So we can write a simple set of commands that can help us to perform these operations over a particular dictionary. So today I will try to show you a demo of using this particular backup explorer. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to take a backup of a particular service that I have, and then see all the contents on that particular backup. Then maybe we figure out that there is some mistake and we want to edit it, then edit the backup, then take a new edited backup of this particular dictionary, and then again restore it into an existing cluster, so that the whole cycle of taking a look into the backup, then editing it, and then again restoring it into an actual live cluster is complete. Let me just show you folks. So here we have a particular service running, which contains a set of key value pairs that we have over here. So I've already taken backup of this particular stateful service voting data, this particular partition that is running here. This is stateful partition. So, and now what we want to do is we just want to take a look over this particular dictionary that is present here, and then maybe edit it, and then again restore it to this existing cluster that we have over here. So let me just also show you the config file that we have. So this is the particular config file that the REST server takes. It takes in the location of the backup, that is backup chain path. The code package path basically contains all the required DLLs that you have. So suppose the set of dictionaries that this particular backup has requires some specific kinds of serializers that in order to understand it. So we can specify the code package path here, which contains all the DLLs, and then explicitly specify the serializers that this particular REST server needs to basically copy in order to understand the complete backup. Once we have supplied this particular thing, then we can easily open the particular release. So let me just open up the REST server. So as you can see, this particular server is up and it's listening on 5000. So we'll try to use postman and see what are all the elements present over this particular backup. So first we query the metadata of this particular dictionary and get to know that this particular backup contains a dictionary called counts. So now we just want to see what are all the values present in dictionary counts. So we query this and we get to see that this particular dictionary has these values present, these key value pairs that it has. It has all these values, and you can also compare that these are the same values that we have over this here. So now we have basically figured out how to view the backups that we have. So once we have viewed these backups, now maybe we want to view it in a different way. Maybe we just want to view the keys or anything. So this particular REST server also provides us with OData query mechanisms where we can query these backups using different OData mechanisms like select, order by, and other different OData mechanisms. So now we just wanted to query keys. So we just write $select equals to key. So we get the list of all the keys. We might want to query just the values, so we get the list of values. So we can write complicated queries over here, but since this particular data type is the key value pair is quite simple, so I'm showing just two of them. So now we want to just edit this particular backup. So I'll try to edit this particular backup with so the dictionaries counts. I want to add a particular key value pair. So I'll try to add this Saket Harsh and this particular key value pair to this dictionary. So it seems that the status is 200. So now we'll again query the dictionary to see whether this value has been added or not. To see. So yeah, we can see that this particular key value pair has also been added to this dictionary counts. Once we have edited this value, now we want to just again take a full backup of this particular existing dictionary and then restore it again into the cluster. So for taking a backup So this is we provide an API where users can take a backup. So now we'll try to run it. Second. Issue with okay. It seems I have not specified the body that is required to take the backup. Okay. Yeah, we can use this particular. Try this out. Yeah. So the new backup has been taken to this particular location. You can see. Now what we'll try to do is restore this particular backup that has been taken here. So this restore will happen via backup restore service that is already present in this cluster. So backup restore service is already enabled on this cluster. So now what we'll try to do is just restore using the backup restore service. So first I'll just compress it. Yeah, and what I'm trying to do here is just invoking the backup restore API and passing in the parameters that is required for the backup to be restored. So now we'll just try to restore it and let's go over the cluster and see whether the restore is actually happening or not. Might take a few seconds. Yeah, so partition is reconfiguring and it should complete the restore. Yeah, it seems the partition is ready. So verify whether it is. Yeah, so it returns that backup restore service partition has been successfully restored. So now we'll just try to see whether the update has happened or not. And now we can see that this particular key value pair has been added to the existing live service. So this completes the complete cycle of taking the backup, then looking over it, identifying any mistakes, editing it, and then again restoring it to an actual live cluster. Let me know if you guys have any questions.
So there's a couple of questions in the chat, Saket. Is now a good time to answer those?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first is from Wit and says, I know the base voting app is out there, but is this sample with the backup service implemented published somewhere?
I don't completely understand the question, but the voting app is already out there and you can enable backup restore service on any clusters. And this particular backup explorer tool is also open source. So I think all the products that is needed is already out there.
So you do not otherwise need to configure anything. It's just, you know, if as long as it's configured on the cluster and your app is running, it just happens.
Yeah, as long as you have backup restore service enabled on your cluster and this app is running, you would have to set up what is the backup policy and how long that you want to take the backup, as in the backup should be incremental or other properties of backup restore service. It has nothing to do with the backup explorer itself. So once you have figured out to how to take the backup and what is the policy that you want for the backup, things should be fine.
Great, thanks.
Cool. And then another question from Andrew is it required to configure the serializer for a type even if no custom serializer is required? If so, what is a serializer type I need to specify to use the default serializer?
If no specific serializers are required, then you don't need to specify it. Even in my demo, you can see that we are not using any serializers. If you look at the config file, the serializers array is completely empty. I have commented out everything. So this particular dictionary that I had only used basic types, so we didn't need any serializers. So if your particular dictionaries also have simple types and they don't need any specific serializers to be parsed, then everything should be fine.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Second to last is, what's the most straightforward way to migrate reliable collection data when renaming and altering models? We've tried making V2s of our models and migrating from V1 to V2 collection in run async and updating all usages to reference the V2 collection, but we failed to reach quorum when we attempt to remove the V1 models.
I can't really answer about this because I am no expert in backup restore service in general, but yeah, this is something we can follow up later, but I'm not sure how we can. Maybe Anant can chime in if he has any solutions right now.
Yeah, we should take it up later on with the SMEs.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. And then the last question here in the chat is there any reason you can't restore a backup to a different cluster than the one it was taken from?
No, you can restore it into a different cluster. I just showed it on a single cluster, but you can basically, in case of disaster scenarios when you just don't have a cluster, then still you have a backup. So you can restore it to a different cluster. That should be fine.
Okay, great. And that's all the questions in the chat.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next topic of today, that is stateless only node types in SF. Okay, so yeah, there are a lot of service fabric users that only have stateless services running on their clusters, and these users don't have basically to care about quorums or datas or anything. So for those users, it just does not make sense to have those restrictions that we use for stateful services to be put up on the underlying VMSs and the node types themselves. So these customers might want to scale to more than 100 nodes in a particular node type, also want to have VMSs based auto OS upgrades on bronze durability itself. So these facilities are not provided right now because there is an inherent assumption on SF that on any particular node, a stateful service can come at any time. But if we take away this restriction and say that these particular set of nodes will never have any stateful services running over them, then maybe we can relax a lot of constraints that we put on the underlying VMSs, because we already know that no stateful service will ever be placed on these. So this will help us basically loosen the restrictions that we put on the underlying VMSs. So with this idea in mind, we introduce this new stateless only node types, where users can mark their node types to be stateless only. And once marked, these node types will never host any stateful services running, and all the stateless services can be run on these node types as usual. So stateless only node types can only be marked for bronze durability node types, and they should be non-primary because primary nodes anyway host stateful services, stateful system services. These stateless node types allow us to basically configure the underlying VMSs in a different manner, which helps us with scale outs, allocations, and also provides us with the support of automatic VMSs based automatic OS upgrades that we generally find in silver plus durability node types. These node types, since they have single placement group set to false, they can also scale up to the max limit of the VMSS size, that is 1000 node types, which basically helps us with easier management, because let's suppose customers has a lot of different node types because they want to scale faster and the limit is 200 nodes, but now they can have fewer node types and scale up to 1000 nodes, so they will have to manage less number of VMSs themselves. So configuring stateless node types. So the configuring stateless node types part is also pretty simple on the SF resource ARM template. We just have to use an API version that is greater than 2020-12.01 preview, and set is stateless parameter to true under the node type section in the ARM template. Remind you again that is stateless can be set to true only for bronze durability node types. With this setting, we allow different VMSS settings also. So once we have set is stateless to true on a particular node type, the underlying VMSS can have rolling upgrade mode set. So rolling or manual both can be set, but it's always preferred to have rolling. With this, we have a requirement to add additional health reporting to the VMSS via application health extension or application or load balancer health probes. Depending on usage, customers can set single placement group to false, which will allow them to scale up to 1000 nodes. And since health reporting will be added via application health extension or health probes, customers can also enable automatic OS upgrades. So with basically right now, stateless node types are available in all regions, and also for the existing clusters, users can add a new node type that is stateless, so they don't have to create a new clusters. These clusters running on SF version 7.2 and above should be sufficient. Now, just show you an existing cluster so that we have an idea about what we are talking. Yeah, so right now I have a particular cluster up and running that has 115 nodes. So on this particular cluster, as you can see, we have two node types. One is primary and stateless. So this primary node type has only 5 nodes, and this stateless node type has 110 nodes right now. So it has already scaled up to more than 100 nodes. So, and everything seems to be fine. So now I also have deployed the same voting app that we showed there. One is stateless and one is stateful. So if we take a closer look at the stateful app, all the replicas of this particular stateful service are running on the primary node type, and none of them are running on the stateless node type. And all the replicas, all the instances of the stateless service are running on the stateless node type. So even if we take a look, there are no placement restrictions that we have put on the primary on the stateful service, but they have already come to the primary node type because these cannot be placed on the defined stateless node types because of the restriction that we have. If we take a look at the underlying VMSS, so with this particular VMSS, we can see that the single placement group is not set to true, which allows us to scale up to higher node counts. This particular VMSS has rolling mode enabled, automatic OS upgrade enabled, while this particular service fabric cluster node type is only bronze durability. So this provides us with very few allocation failures and faster scale outs when users want to scale up to very high node counts. So this is particularly useful for customers having large requirements and they have stateless services running over the clusters. So all the documentation related to stateless node types are already up, and I have put link in the slide deck so that you guys can see. Yeah. Let me know if there are any questions.
Yeah, we have a few more questions in the chat. I can read them out again if you'd like.
Yeah, I can see them. So yeah.
Oh,
What's
sure.
the minimum number of nodes you can have in a stateless node type that can span across availability zones? You need to go down to 0. So the right now for stateless node types that is easy spanning, we have restriction of 6 nodes. As in, I guess, yeah, 6 nodes. We should have 6 nodes at the minimum. And theoretically, yes, you can go down. No, we don't allow to go down to 0 right now. Yes. The restriction is of 6 VMs at least. Is this potentially a good fit then for large VMs is configured for some significant percentage of spot instances, since state reliability wouldn't be a concern? So we don't allow spot priority VMSS along with this particular thing, or basically anywhere in the SF cluster, because that decreases the reliability of complete cluster. Maybe Anand can describe it better, but it decreases the reliability of the whole cluster as such, not only the particular VM that is relying that is present there. So that can be potentially fatal. Yeah, Anand.
Yeah, so today we do not provide the support for running stateless, the spot VMSS in the SF cluster because of the nature of the spot VMs, which could bring down the entire cluster when they just go away. So yeah, we don't support Spot VMs right now.
Does standalone cluster support stateless node types as well? Yes, I guess. Are there any more questions?
So one just came into the chat. It says, if a stateless node exists, will it be preferred over primary nodes when a new stateless service is created?
It won't be preferred as such, but yeah, stateless services, it would depend on what PLB figures out, but there won't be any specific preference given that all stateless services should only be placed on stateless node type. The restriction is that no stateful service will ever be placed on these stateless node types. If stateless services come up, they can be placed on these node types, but there is no restriction as such that stateless services should first get placed on these stateless node types.
So within your service itself, you can add a constraint which says that place this service only on the stateless node type. So it would automatically get deployed only on the stateless node type.
Yeah, I guess that's it then.
Feel free to open up. I mean, we can. The presentation is done. People can ask questions. Unmute, and any of the topics that's presented. If not, we can move on to the other in general Q&A. Edward from this engineering team is also here. Ed, are you there?
Yep.
So he's actively working on the updating the OS code repos. Thanks for joining the call. Like, can you provide some update on what's happening on that front and when the Service Fabric open source
Sure.
code updated?
Yeah, so we're looking to update the Linux source code available in the main Service Fabric repository, starting with the 7.2 CU10 release that was previously available. Right now, we're actually working to update the developer base build image that we give, the Docker container image, and then update the source files. We estimate probably within the next 4 weeks, we'll have updates for the 7.2 source files, so you can review those files on GitHub and have the Linux build complete there. After that, we're probably also going to add the latest 8.0 files that we have available when they're released, as well as some updates to the CI and build infrastructure that's available on GitHub, because right now it's all sort of a manual process. So you can start to see more contributions coming to that repo. I'll also link my GitHub for you guys in the chat if you want to follow it, and then you'll get notifications when I do new pushes to the repo. Yeah, and I'll be here if you have any questions about the open source effort that's going on right now. We're completing a bunch of internal improvements actually to the build pipeline that we have for both Linux and Windows, and that will mean in the future when we have new releases, it will take less time to update the GitHub repository with the source code.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, I think this has been asked every Q&A call, so hence we invited Ed, who's actually working on to give a quick update on the timelines and like answer any questions folks have on this call. If not, there's one follow-up from the last call was people asked about SFX Service Fabric Explorer beta, when it's going to go change from beta. The timeline is like 8.1, the next 8.1 release, which is planned sometime in summer, around July timeframe. Like we will, the beta tag will go away. Until then, we are going to leave it in beta state, like to get community feedback. So if you have not explored the beta features, we recommend you to try it out and give us feedback before we remove it. Should we open up to the, okay, I'm going back to the questions, the chat. When .NET 6 LTS comes out in the fall, will SF have immediate support for it? Peter or Sukanya, I know .NET 5, we have added support in 8.0. Do we have any plans around that or any timelines?
Yes. So going forward, our plan is to support all LTS releases as soon as they become generally available. So we will be trying to support .NET 6 when it is available.
The next one is any updates on generic host support for ASP.NET Core? I think we should, I remember seeing some GitHub issues or request on this. We have to, if Peter or Suganya have any updates, otherwise we'll have to take it offline, or feel free to create a GitHub issue and explain us why it's like, if it's pressing, and or what are the requirements on that front for your workloads. That will help us understand and prioritize things. So Wit has a question, maybe if Ed is still around. It's about the build. Will it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can answer that. Did you see the question, or do you want me to read
yes, I did.
Okay.
So the question is, will we use eventually GitHub Actions? I can't make any promises on specifically what the final CI system will look like. But we are considering both GitHub Actions and Azure DevOps.
Sure. I mean, I guess the gist of what I'm trying to get at is just, will there? I guess we hear a lot about the internal changes to how the build works. Will we be able to actually see the build?
Yes. Our goal is to make sure that if the CI runs, that you have access to it. So.
Right.
Okay. Oh, thanks for posting the GitHub issue, Ivan. From the, so Wit, I think you want to ask a question, like. This is a follow-up. I believe we did talk about the wave-based deployments. From the 8.0 release, setting up waves on a per cluster basis is awfully helpful. That said, is it possible to utilize this or some other existing capability for automatically deploying different waves of the same application on the same cluster? Peter, do we have any plans on supporting this?
This is good feedback, Whit. Glad to hear that you do like the wave-based upgrades for the cluster runtime. At this point, it is not possible to use this for deploying different waves of applications on the same cluster, but it would be great to hear what you're thinking in terms of wave-based application upgrades. Would this be having multiple versions of the same upgrade on your cluster, or
Yeah, so like right now, my company is a little startup, so we don't really have separate clusters for dev, prod, test, everything. So right now we have a dev version of the application, and we have a dev, the prod versions of the applications, multi-tenanted, and so I guess it'd be really cool to see some way of saying, hey, we've got a number of dev instances or test instances that exist on the cluster now. Deploy a new update and deploy just to those instances, and then after 2 weeks, it automatically handles deploy to these customers who have opted into a see the beta stuff, and then after 2 weeks after that, deploy to everyone else. So just kind of exactly the same sort of wave thing, but for a single application, some range of names, but all running on one cluster instead of just saying, hey, there's a per cluster operation.
Yeah, that does make sense. I think it might be a little bit tricky for us to implement.
I guess is the service that enables this open source by chance?
So the current weight-based upgrades are actually enabled by the resource provider. So when we set the goal state for when the upgrade should come through, that's how we're determining which wave you're in and when you will actually receive the upgrade. And for the application upgrade changes, this would be a change on the runtime instead. So it would be a new mechanism that we would need to use.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thanks to look into.
Thanks.
There's a bunch of questions around GitHub, either existing GitHub issues or new issues. I want to make sure, it's to be great to see some activity around moving SF projects to SDK style. We'll take a look at the GitHub issue and we'll try to provide an update before the next call. The next one is service topic release schedule has shrank down to 8.2 at the end of this year. Does it mean there are no further development plans? Should we be worried? Peter, I think correct me if I'm wrong, this is we do have major and minor releases, minor releases every month to focus on hotfixes and major bugs. And the major releases, I do believe we have planned to do twice a year.
So there is an 8.1 planned for July.
Yeah.
And there is an 8.2 which will come in a couple of months from then. And every month we will be releasing CUs. So we just released 8.0, so we would be releasing CUs every month for that.
Yeah, I think that I thought we did publish. We can go look back and correct that link that you have provided to ensure that we clearly communicate our roadmap for releases, the major releases. And I think we try to do not have major releases in summer and then around the April timeframe, and then one before the holidays. We do not commit to anything after October due to customer feedback and also internal and external customer freeze windows during the holiday season.
Also, to add on top of it, we already have plans of 9.0 and 9.1. The schedules are going to get published in a week or two. So just keep an eye out. You will definitely see 9.0 release info in that link that you've just added. So you should be seeing that as well.
Thanks, Suganya. Now that 8.0 is out, it's from Wit. What is the team considering tackling in the next iteration? Is there any way the community can chime in as part of this planning process? Okay, there are two questions. So Wit, do you want to open up and what do you want to contribute? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess, in the last community call, we kind of talked about some of the stuff that was coming up in 8.0, and there were still some surprises. That was cool. But yeah, I guess it seems like the cart is driving along with a horse, and I'd like to see if I couldn't get on that ride. I guess I filed a number of issues on GitHub to just kind of say, here are things that I'd be interested in seeing, and they haven't really been responded to, and that's okay. But it just be kind of nice to see what's the team prioritizing, what is going to be in 8.1 or 8.2 or 9.0, and how can we potentially push things that we'd like to see, especially since we can't contribute ourselves yet.
Yeah, I think thanks for the feedback, and we are streamlining. I know as I said, like beginning this year, we are the product team is spending time investing in looking at triaging the GitHub issues, and we're trying to streamline things there so we understand what is the priority of the customers, what is a bug, what is a new feature, ask a scenario, so it can help with the planning process. So the planning is going to start soon, and we are reviewing the ask in GitHub, like the feature ask and new scenarios, and taking it internally and going to review it as part of the planning process. Unfortunately, we cannot expose the internal backlogs that we have and the planning in the open right now. We are also figuring out how to do that how in the long term. So meanwhile, once we have a planning sorted out, we'll maybe produce a high-level roadmap in GitHub saying what are the upcoming features. At least give an insight, provide some insight into what is coming in 8.1, 8.2, and 9.0 when you have things sorted out. Thanks for continuing to give us the feedback. I know we know that this has been commonly asked. We are working internally, and hopefully in the short term we'll at least provide some high-level guidance or roadmap in GitHub in form of GitHub projects.
Thanks.
The next question is, with the new .NET 5 GA support, does this include changes for the binary serializer, or is the project file attribute still required to bypass the concern for SF promoting? This is a GitHub, okay, follow up the GitHub issue. Peter, or anybody, like, you have any updates? If not, we'll have to try this or look at it offline. Do you have any quick updates, Peter or Mike?
I do not. I think we'll have to follow up offline and get back to you on this one.
Yeah, and yeah, so we'll definitely so Whit, I think we are looking at all the GitHub issues. I don't want to go into the details or repeat the same thing, but triaging, we have created into GitHub projects for bugs and features. So we have streamlined to some extent there. So and we're looking at it on a weekly basis and considering the ones that is valid into internal backlog. So
I guess that one just came up just because when .NET 5 originally came out and pre SF support for it, that was one of the things that came out was the binary serializer is unsafe. There's nothing you can do to make it safe because binary, and so there was some kind of investigation being done to say what can we replace this with otherwise. And so just trying to follow up on that to see, right now you can override it by just putting something in the project file that just says just ignore this. But just trying to see if there's what's being done now that 5 support is GA'd.
We appreciate all the feedback, and please continue to give us, so it'll help us improve the product experience and also drive the direction for the future roadmap. But before I jump into another question, I'm going to, I know I see people signing off. So I'm sending a quick survey to ask people who are interested in filling a 5-minute survey, a detailed survey. So I'm just going to post a sign up form. So if folks on the call who are actively using Service Fabric in production or who intend to use for new workloads, would like to learn more about your workloads to help shape the product roadmap. So it's just a form. It will take less 10 seconds to just fill your information if you're interested in participating in the survey, just your contact information. Please sign up if you're interested, and whoever signs up, we will send a detailed survey via email. So I've posted it should not take long to just give your contact information and we'll follow up. What is the next? Any known issues in 8.0? How safe is it to upgrade in production from 7.2? Mike, I think we had a recent update to the supported versions page, if I'm not wrong, which tells you what are the safe versions that you can upgrade from to 8.0. Am I correct? Or can you help me out here?
Not sure if that's what he's asking, but yeah, so I can talk about that real quick, and then we can circle back if there needs follow-up. So let me get a link to this. So there's been a lot of questions on GitHub, even internally, that we're trying to help answer with a refresh. I'll put a link in chat of this page. Specifically, there was some confusion around Windows support in particular versions, and we were calling things, LTSC or particular version like 1803. So hopefully this refresh helps answer that. It makes it a little clearer as to what we support and when that support ends. Specifically on the 8.0 question, it is GA. We have pushed it out. We're continuing to roll it out across Azure Service Fabric, so we do consider it production ready. I'm not aware of any, I'll say, like outstanding bugs that are of concern. Peter, I don't know if you've seen anything, or Sakani, you have any comments there, but I would back up. I consider it production ready, and we're broadly rolling it out, so we should have high confidence it is ready for production workloads. As always, with that statement though, we always suggest testing it right and dev and test first before you just roll out to prod, especially if there's any application compatibility things, or if you're starting to look at .NET 5 things. So hopefully that answers your question, if you're still on.
Yeah, I think the link that Mike posted, we've been having this doc page for a long time. It tells you what are the versions where you are, like, and from which versions are safe to upgrade to. And I think we have revised it to be more more readable and, like, based on some feedback, internal and external feedback. Any chances of seeing completion of reports being extended to actors and standard singleton stateful services as well? This could enable an opportunity for stateful workflows as a service with built-in cleanup on completion. Example, today's actors can't delete themselves. Peter, like, do we know we have support for this, or something that we need to take it in as part of the future planning process? Or Mike up here?
We do not currently have support for this, so it would be part of a future planning process.
I'll make another issue.
Is there?
I think we would love to. There's a lot of great feedback we're getting from the community and you as well. So if you can fill the form that I've submitted here, love to have follow-ups.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit detail. I know you're part of the Azure advisors community, or like the Yammer community, so I will be posting this there as well. So feel free to. And we can have follow-up. You can fill in the detailed survey that I'll be sharing, and then also have one-on-one chats as needed.
I guess I'm curious. Then, what can you go into more of the detail then of what the point of marking stateless services as completed was? What's an example in which that happens? Because I guess I read that on the 8.0 release notes and thought, oh, that's interesting. But if it's if it's not storing state, okay, maybe there's some use there. But especially if you can store state, okay, now you can do workflows. So I guess, can you give any background as to what kind of the idea was behind that? To just kind of limit it to stateless?
Can you? I didn't get the question. Can you?
Yeah, so I guess I
on
see.
which feature are you talking about? Like in 8.0, which announcement?
Yeah, 8.0 capability to mark service instances completed. Allows stateless instances to mark themselves as completed. Service Fabric closes the stateless instance, won't create a replacement instance in the cluster. I guess, why was that limited only to stateless instances?
Anand or Saket, do you have any updates on that front, or would you be able to clarify?
No, I'm not aware of this one. You'll have to check with whoever worked on the feature.
Okay. So yeah, I think, can you post a question in the chat? But we can definitely follow up, and also maybe the community blog. Also, you can post your questions regarding this 8.0 announcement, or you can post it here, so we can definitely follow up with you. Is 8.0 available on Azure for Gov? I think we do roll out to all the clouds. We started the rollout. I think Sukanya, correct me, or Sukanya, correct me wrong. We started the rollout this Monday, right? Like this early, and it takes like 7 to 10 days to finish it in all the clouds.
Yeah, we're halfway through the rollout. We're almost done. We're probably going to finish by either end of this week or early next week. I have to go back and check, but yeah, something in that timeline.
Okay. So it should go to all the cloud regions. I don't see a reason why. The question here is, it will be available in all the clouds. So it takes like from the time we start rollout, when we publish a blog post, when we start the rollout in the public cloud regions, and then it takes like 7 to 10 days, business days to finish the rollout in all the clouds.
Yeah, we should be done specifically by 4/21.
Yeah,
is what we said internally. So if that helps.
And yeah, thanks for the feedback. I mean, the documentation, the updated versions page is helpful. I assume on-premise Linux clusters are still not a planned feature. So Mike, you have any? This is standalone Linux.
I assume this you mean standalone, Sakura?
Yeah.
That is currently the case still, if that's what you're asking specifically. Will Service Fabric develop a tool or support, I hate to say support, but a tool to help install Linux clusters? We still have the Bosch stuff out there. I will keep reminding you that is out there, but that's not necessarily supported, but it is a methodology to deploy Linux as standalone. We still don't have any plans to actively do anything beyond that at the moment, besides just discussions to see if we can facilitate some other methodology, but I can't commit to anything officially being committed to right now. But still trying to talk about ways to extend Linux support outside of Azure if possible. I hope that helps answer. I know, probably not ideal to what you want to hear, but okay. Oh, he says, yeah, sorry, cool.
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think we would love to have more follow-ups, to understand your requirements, are you considering for the future potential use cases in your so yeah, if you can sign up the form, then we can send, and we'll love to learn more about your use case and why you need this, and how soon you need this. The next one is, when are you going to upgrade dependencies NuGet packages from ASP.NET Core 1.0? Any updates? I think this is going to be the follow-up, I guess. Feel free to create this sounds like a GitHub question, or like I know we ask you to create everything in GitHub. We are looking into GitHub new issues created this year. So please do create it so we don't lose track of all the great feedback and the questions. The next one is new feature. Oh, that's Mike. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, Mike has posted like the GitHub projects where we are collecting. So when you're creating issues in GitHub, it automatically streamlines it into either it's a bug or a feature. So if it's a bug, then it goes to a GitHub project where bugs are being triaged, and then new feature or new scenario ask, it's been tracked in a different project, GitHub. So hence we are recommending or repeatedly asking us to help us, asking you to help us to collect all the feedback. So it's easy for us to triage it and put it in our internal backlog, given that the planning is going to start soon. Reposter. Okay, I think this was Wit had asked this question, so I'm going to.
Yeah, you just asked me to read.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we are anyway close to the hour. Thanks for all the folks who's attended this call. Thanks for all the great questions and the feedback. Thanks to Saket, Anand for the presentations, and thanks Ed for joining and giving us an update. So again, a final reminder to fill that short survey with your contact information, and so we can send you a detailed survey to learn more about your workloads and help us with your feedback and help us shape the product roadmap and improve the product experience as well.
And we would love to hear more about the 8.0 release once you guys actually start using it. If you have any feedback about 8.0, we would love to get your input on it and feedback on it. So feel free to kind of ping us or open GitHub items that we can follow up on. Thanks.
So Cesar, I think we are done. Thanks for.
Great. Yeah, so thanks again, team, for a great webcast and everyone for joining. Quick reminder, in the chat, we also dropped 2 really quick surveys. One is to give your feedback on this particular session, and then the other one, of course, to give us your ideas for topics for the next Service Fabric calls. Thank you again to Anthony, Peter, and everyone from the team who presented today. And look out for the recording in the Azure Connection programs as well as in the YouTube channel. With that, Anthony, if you want to go ahead and close this out.
Yeah, thanks again for your time and for all the great questions. Look forward to seeing you next 54. This is 53, so the 54th call. Thanks, Cesar. Thanks to the entire team here, and thanks for all to the community.
All right, thank you, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Thank you guys for hosting.
Thank you.